There we go. Sorry about that, folks. Take two. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we are getting back to our Supplemental Security Income series. Before we do, the brief disclaimer, the links that we are going to be going throughout the entirety of the series, you're going to be able to find right there in the description box with corresponding labels right above them. So if you would like to go ahead and read those on your own, you are absolutely 100% welcome to do so. Trigger warnings. We do have this channel marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and we cover topics, especially in regards to places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, a so-called residential school based out of Canton, Massachusetts for disabled kids that uses, they call it an electric skin shock device. Essentially, it is a human shock collar as a means to control self-interest or aggressive behavior. But if you read into it, no they don't. They will shock a kid if they get up for 3 seconds without verbal permission. It's a very dark topic. It's definitely not for those who are too young. And very much parental supervision is very much advised. Also, be advised, I am not on MAGA's side. I'm not on the Democrat side. I'm not on the libertarian side. I am on the side of disability rights. I'm on the side of civil rights. I'm on the side of human rights. I am on the side of my fellow disabled folks. With having spent many years inside the disability rights movement, the neurodiversity movement, and a few other areas as well. Okay? The GOP is essentially gutting programs that are absolutely vital to make it possible for individuals like myself to be able to be a part of their communities. They're getting community-based services from all angles. No, I'm not on their side. The Democrats, they're kind of masters of doublespeak. You'll see it every single year where they'll parade around disabled folks and use scare tactic type of propaganda in regards to our rights in order to get us to help them get elected. After the election is over, they do the bare minimum just to keep us happy so that when the next election cycle happens, they can use us again. While at the same time, utterly ignoring on a continuous basis all the issues we have been bringing up for decades, such as underfunded job programs, for example, just for starters. The fact that Medicaid continues to get cut into as though it is the federal government's personal piggy bank. And because they do so, the fact that they narrow the criteria once more in regards to those who are considered eligible to receive Medicaid, and it keeps shrinking every year, the Democrats play lip service and do nothing. AOC, I appreciate the effort, but where the hell has this effort been until now? I don't like being so suspicious, but considering what we've been talking about here, And not just that. Massachusetts, where Camden, Massachusetts, where the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center resides, has been essentially a stronghold for Democrats for decades. Those of us within the Stop the Shock movement, to bring their monstrous, barbaric ways of torturing kids with a human shock collar to be brought to an end, we have reached out to them. We have showed up in their offices. We have protested outside their offices, in front of the JRC. We have reached out personally, emails, phone calls, and we get absolutely nothing. The torture continues. They do not do anything to stop it. So, just know, if you're gung-ho, one side or the other, you are going to be offended. If that is not for you, I don't blame you for pausing or turning off this video, but I do still encourage you to take a look at the description box and read this information for yourself. Okay? Good. Good. Alright. Also, those new to the channel, yes, this is amateur hour. I'm still new to this platform. I don't know how to edit to save my soul. I apologize for that in advance. Alright. Threats to the Social Security Administration and benefits continue to raise alarm. Despite the Trump administration's promises that America's Social Security benefits will not be cut, as we discussed last week, the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, recently set its sights on the program. Reports indicate their efforts are ongoing, with staffers obtaining access to Master Social Security Number database, which includes extensive and highly sensitive information. DOGE is not revealing what they plan to do with the data or how they will keep it safe. Here's my question, and the biggest major red flag, why I call BS on DOGE. If it is a situation where we are trying to help Social Security not collapse, if this is something we are serious about, if they really think that fraud is a big problem, can anyone explain to me, like I'm 5, why the hell we are sending tech bros in there when what we need is a crack team of forensic accountants who know what they're doing? They are tech bros. They are masters of technology, not accountants. You want somebody who will be able to detect fraud? You want somebody to be able to expose that? Or also show where different funding can be removed here and there without disturbing too much, while on the same end, the people who really need these benefits don't end up suddenly having a shortage in hours they're able to use for direct care staff because there's no longer any money there to cover the additional hours. You don't send in tech gurus, you send in forensic accountants. And considering Trump is great businessman, regardless of whether he's considered good at it or not, you know damn well he knows the best kind of people to go after it if they really feel like there is a whole bunch of fraud going on in regards to Social Security and Medicaid. Okay? There are going to be things that forensics accountants are going to be able to find, pinpoint, and create a plan on how to combat that someone like Elon is not going to have any idea about. Okay? So why are we sending in the tech bros? And why does any of this qualify for him getting a hold of those of us who have been on supplemental security income, Social Security, Medicaid, or all three of the above? Why does he need that information when you can just as easily detect fraud and see what's going on, putting in forensic accountants who actually know what they're doing? More than that, why the hell is the media not asking that question? Because I would think that would be the most obvious question to ask in the world. Now, in regards to tech, if you want to be, but people who are dead who are collecting Social Security and that sort of thing, okay, my point still stands. You want someone to man the computers to figure out if people are dead or not? Then do both! Because tech guys are not going to know those accounts the same way forensic accountants will. Why are they being kept away from this situation? It's because, folks, it's all performative nonsense. Okay? This is to give you a false sense of security, to give you the warm fuzzies, as it were. Okay? If they were actually serious about the things that they've been telling us they are serious about, they would have sent in accountants, not tech gurus. Anybody with two brain cells to rub together should be able to see that. Okay? It's fishy. Very fishy. Let me go ahead and read on. I'm sorry, but that's just been bugging me for a long minute. Because it has never made sense. And let's face it, I'm autistic. Make it make sense. Just as this article was being finalized, a federal judge temporarily blocked the expanded access to personally identifiable information, citing privacy concerns. However, the issue is not yet settled and Social Security data remains at risk. So let's continue here. Doge is not revealing what they plan to do with the data or how they will keep it safe. We're going to go ahead and go in here. Doge is headed by Elon Musk, who has called Social Security the 90-year-old bedrock of our nation's social insurance system and program that keeps millions of Americans, especially older adults and people with disabilities, out of poverty every year. A Ponzi scheme. Let me explain this to all of you as an individual who used to be on supplemental security income. If you think that that actually managed to keep me out of poverty, I have beachfront property in Kansas I can sell you. Trump will sell you a bridge out in Brooklyn. Okay? The entire 6 years I had supplemental security income, I lived completely and utterly underneath the poverty line. If I did not also have a Section 8 voucher and food stamps, I would have never made it. Okay? The top payments I received from supplemental security income was only $650 a month. Now, even in the early 2000s, you could not live off of that in just a regular apartment. Okay? That really is beneath the poverty line. And once you're in the system, they kind of do everything they can to keep you in the system. Including when I kept saying over and over and over and over and over and over again, that I was going for full-time work, not part-time. They kept threatening me with losing my benefits, my Medicaid and all that. They didn't know what to do with me because I literally looked them in the eye and say, yes, that's the point. I didn't intend to be on these programs for the rest of my life, just for only as long as I needed them until I can secure and move on with life, right? And why was that my mindset? Because it keeps you below the poverty level. If they can use those scare tactics and make you fear losing those benefits more, then you see where I'm going there, right? Okay. That being said, there are individuals that absolutely need to have their supplemental security income. Individuals like my friends at the Sassafras Apartments out here on the other side of the city that I speak about on this channel all the time do require things like Social Security to assist them in taking care of their day-to-day expenses, groceries, what have you, right? It's not so much a Ponzi scheme as Elon's trying to suggest it is. Is it riddled with issues? Oh, hell yeah. There's not just one elephant in the room. There's enough elephants in the room that if they get spooked, it's going to be a stampede through multiple walls. But with how they're treating it, and the fact that the way they are proposing the cuts they've been talking about is not just going to impact certain people the way they are trying to sell that in the media, it hits everyone, either directly or indirectly. But anyways, let me go ahead and continue, folks. Musk suggested last week without evidence that there could be as much as $700 billion a year in entitlement fraud, and 20 million people over 100 years old are still on Social Security rolls, a statement echoed by the president in a speech to Congress and disputed by Leland Dudek, a Social Security Administration employee who was promoted to acting Social Security Commissioner last month. These developments come after SSA announced plans to cut over 7,000 employees and close regional offices, actions Mr. Dudek says could break things. Some of the suggestions that I have seen is that the things Elon was looking at was coding. So what are we talking about coding? Well, just like in the regular medical field, we have codes to allude to certain words, explanations, and things. Okay? So Elon jumping on here saying this person says that they're 150 years old and collecting Social Security is in actuality not a thing. Those numbers he was saying are used as code. Why are they used as code? Because human beings don't like to spend all that time typing all out the information line by line. So we use codes. They're used in medical, they're used with Social Security, they're used with Medicare and Medicaid. Which is why I don't think, as much as Elon tries to sell himself as it, he is not the sharpest tool in the drawer. At all. But he sounds intelligent. Okay. I know a lot of people who sound intelligent that dumber than a box of rocks. Don't know what to tell you all, but he is not what he bills himself to be, okay? Alright, now here, these developments come after SSA announcements plans to cut over 7,000 employees and close regional offices, action Mr. Durdick says could break things. Social Security has not ever really had a whole lot of employees inside those offices. The few that they do have cover multiple things at once, including applications for things such as Medicare, and some of them include Medicaid and SNAP, right? They're already on a skeleton crew. If you ever go into a Social Security office and you look out in the lobby, literally every time, during those 6 years when I had to go do that and renew my claims for supplemental security income for the next year, they're usually rooms that are so packed that there's only standing room. So you have to sit there and wait, sometimes longer than an hour, standing, waiting for your number to be called by the agent. Okay? That's how things were when these offices were quote unquote properly manned. 7,000 employees in closed regional offices. You throw that into an already tight situation, there is going to be massive issues throughout the entirety of the country. People who will be panicked and have no idea what's going on with their Social Security, with their SSI, with Medicaid. It's gonna be a giant mess. And yes, I agree with Mr. Dudek. It's gonna break things. Let me go ahead and continue. Alarm is growing around the scope and breadth of these planned actions and the risk to data security and those who rely on Social Security for income and other support. This includes older adults who have paid into the program over a lifetime, disabled individuals and their parents, and people enrolling in or paying premiums for Medicare. Alarm is growing around the scope. Oh, we just read that. That was just highlighted. Alright, fair enough. To gain some clarity, last week Senators Elizabeth Warren and Ron Wyden sent a letter outlining these concerns, asking several questions of Frank Vizianano. Forgive me for, horribly mispronouncing that. The president's nominee for the Social Security Commissioner. The senators specifically asked about programmatic cuts resulting in failures or delays in getting Americans their Social Security checks as a backdoor cut to benefits. Access to benefits imperiled. You guys do not know the panic when Social Security website went down, when the phones went down. You had so many people, in particular out here, a lot of veterans and elderly folks who were scared to death during that time period. Break your heart. These are not folks who are parasites milking the system. These are people who spent their lives paying their due. They have every right to be able to retire with dignity, and they do not need to be trying to continue to work when they're 70 to 80 years old. They paid their dues. They have a right to that Social Security. There should be no reason under God why they should not have access to their benefits that they have paid for. At the very least, they deserve an explanation. At the very least. Sorry, not sorry. Let me continue. The letter highlights the impact already felt because the operational changes at SSA, including the fact that workers have reported that wait times for basic services have already dramatically increased, sometimes by hours. So we went from 1.5 in the early 2000s, back when I was on the program. Some people that are lucky are waiting about 4 to 4.5 hours. That's just in my state. Since the letter was sent, additional changes have been announced. On Tuesday, March 18th, SSA eliminated the ability to apply for benefits or make certain changes by phone, directing older and disabled beneficiaries instead to online services or in-person appointments, which must be scheduled by phone over an average 2-hour wait and are currently booking out over a month. This is insane. This is mismanagement on a massive scale. You're going to cut all these folks. They're no longer going to be manning the phones. Can't do that through the phone anymore. You got to go in person or make 70 and 80 years olds figure out how to use the internet. Now, I have been a call center worker now for almost 3 decades. The older individuals who call in, bless their hearts, man. The internet is not just not their thing. They get extremely frustrated and upset. And some of them I've even had begin to cry as soon as they got me on the phone because they kept clicking on the wrong things. They didn't know what they were doing. And now you are telling them their only options is to either wait for 2 hours in an office that may not even be where they live anymore. They've closed offices down. They may have to have someone or themselves drive 2, 3, 4 hours to get to another Social Security office to do an in-person visit. And then scheduling a month. I mean, there's a lot of things. Issues with Social Security. Being able to use the phone for our older folks and folks who have disabilities that make being in person or being online difficult should not have been one of the things that got cut. The lack of compassion or knowledge, or quite frankly in this situation I really think it's both, is just utterly insane. A lot of people should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. Let me go ahead and continue. Speaking to the New York Times, Kathleen Roman, Director of Social Security and Disability Policy at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, said that the change will substantially delay their access to their earned benefits, and delays that will only worsen as SSA cuts thousands of staff and millions more people need to make appointments. Medicare Rights is deeply concerned about these cuts to SSA staffing and changes to its operations. Older adults and people with disabilities need easy and prompt access to SSA services. They must not be forced to use technologies they do not have access to or travel to field offices with limited availability that may be over 100 miles away. Exactly, folks. So, I wanted to get this started and kicked off in regards to Doge and the absolute and utter mess they have made out of Social Security and Supplemental Security income. As we begin to get into it, we're going to get a little bit more specific, going into the areas where they intend to cut even more Social Security funding. I've heard rumors of what some of these cuts are. I have seen others, and it's going to be quite, let's just say there's going to be more than just a few videos in these series. But for right now, we're going to go ahead and close out. We don't get very many views on this channel. Some of the few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So folks, if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do hope you have a good one. I will see you all in a little bit, right after I attack the kitchen. Goodbye, everyone.